June 18, 1815. A muddy field in Belgium. One man, Napoleon Bonaparte, is about to face the ultimate, final boss fight of his career. This is Waterloo, a battle so famous that it became a metaphor for epic defeat, and even a disco song centuries later. Napoleon had escaped exile on Elba, pulled the greatest comeback tour in history, and rebuilt his army in just 100 days. Europe freaked out. The British under the Duke of Wellington and the Prussians under Blücher formed an Avengers-style alliance just to stop him. Napoleon wasn't just fighting for victory, he was fighting for his career, his empire, and his legacy. Quick pause. Hit that subscribe button before Napoleon declares himself emperor of your YouTube feed. It's free and safer than marching through Belgian mud. The day began with rain. The battlefield turned into a swampy mess. Imagine trying to run a fortnight tournament in a mud pit. That's Waterloo. Napoleon delayed the attack until the ground dried, a decision that cost him precious hours. Spoiler, those hours would let the Prussians arrive later and change everything. At first, Napoleon's men fought like lions. French infantry stormed Hougoumont Farm, where British guards held on in what became a brutal mini-siege. Napoleon's brother Jerome led the attack, because nothing says family business like dragging your sibling into world-changing battles. Despite repeated assaults, the British held. Hougoumont became a sinkhole for French manpower. Next came the great cavalry charges. Thousands of French horsemen thundered uphill toward the British squares, tight formations of redcoats with bayonets. It looked epic, but the British stood firm, poking horses away like a medieval version of "keep out." Imagine trying to stab a moving tank with a toothpick. That's what it felt like for the infantry. Meanwhile, Napoleon's legendary Marshal Ney, known as the bravest of the brave, got a little too brave. He launched repeated cavalry charges without waiting for infantry support. Historians still debate whether Ney was a hero or just spamming the attack button too hard. As the afternoon wore on, both sides were exhausted. Then, at around 7 p.m., the Prussians finally arrived. It was like the Avengers showing up in the third act. Napoleon suddenly had to fight on two fronts. His men were tough, but the numbers game was over. Napoleon unleashed his last card, the Imperial Guard, his elite soldiers, veterans feared across Europe. They marched forward like a wall of steel. For a moment, it looked like Napoleon might still pull off a miracle. But the Guard faltered under British fire. Someone shouted, "La Garde recule!" The Guard is retreating. That phrase alone broke French morale. For the first time, Napoleon's invincible Guard turned and ran. The French army collapsed. Napoleon fled, his dream shattered. Within weeks, he was on a ship to exile on St. Helena, where he'd live out his days far from the glory of battle. Waterloo ended not just one campaign, but an entire era of European history. The Napoleonic Wars were over, but let's not forget the memes. Waterloo is full of them. Napoleon, the master of strategy, delayed because of mud, basically losing to weather. Ney's infinite cavalry spam became a tactical meme for centuries. And the British soldiers, standing in squares, became living memes of stubbornness. Waterloo also gave us one of the most legendary duels of personalities. Wellington, cool and methodical, versus Napoleon, fiery and daring. Wellington later said it was the nearest run thing you ever saw in your life. Translation: bro, that was way too close. In the end, Waterloo isn't just a battle. It's a story about hubris, timing, teamwork, and how even the greatest player in history can't win every match. Napoleon didn't just lose an empire, he gave us the phrase, "to meet your Waterloo," aka the ultimate L. And that's your cue. Subscribe before Napoleon's cavalry charges your Wi-Fi. Epic warriors, epic battles, and epic fails.